Trudie Mason sitting in for Elias Makos today, and we are looking ahead to April 12th, which is when the CAQ will announce its new leader. So the party is in debate mode right now, and we are pleased to welcome to our airwaves CAQ leadership hopeful Bernard Drainville to update us on his campaign for the leadership. Mr. Drainville, welcome.
Thank you, Trudie. Thank you.
You seem to have gotten a bit of traction this week with your proposal to return some of the extra gas tax money that the province has been raking in because of rising gas prices, return that directly to Quebecers. Could you flesh out that proposal a little bit? What do you envision that looking like?
Well, basically, before the war in Iran, there was a projection of how much money gas taxes were going to represent for Quebec's treasury, and now with the hikes at the pump, we can envision that there will be extra revenues deriving from paying higher prices at the pump. And all I'm saying is that when all is going to be said and done, we should look at the revenues that were actually collected. And if there is extra revenues produced by this war, then the difference between what was supposed to be collected and what was actually collected should be returned to Quebecers.
And in your view, would that be all Quebecers? Would it be only motorists who paid for the gas? How would you see that happening?
I would say ideally motorists, but we have to find the best way to return the money. We can be very creative in ways to collect money. I think we should be equally creative to return the money. So let us see how much money does this represent? If there is a discrepancy, if there is actually extra revenues, because some people say, well, they may not be extra revenues because, for example, because of higher prices, people will buy less gasoline, and therefore the revenues will not necessarily be larger than what they were supposed to be. Other people are saying when taxes go up, when gas prices go up, rather, it costs more money to government because of official fleet or government fleet. So let us see if there is a difference. But I think it's a question of principle. It shouldn't be up to motorists or Quebecers to pay for this war. I think we collect enough taxes in the pockets of Quebecers. If there is extra money being produced by this war, it should be returned to the people.
Both you and your leadership opponent, Christine Fréchette, have endorsed this idea of finding a way to help farmers by reimbursing them or cutting the carbon tax that affects them. We had a call just today from the Quebec wing of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation that what you should be looking at is doing that for all Quebecers, not just for farmers. Basically, finding a way to stop the carbon tax, stop any effect of carbon taxation on Quebecers. Would you be open to looking at that?
Well, first, let me say that the idea of reimbursing, because this is what we're talking about, reimbursing farmers is something I put forward, a month ago. So I was pleased to see that Christine was, endorsing the idea yesterday. Now, as far as, basically canceling the carbon tax, the problem is this one. There's more than $4.5 billion of carbon credits that have been purchased on the carbon. I'm not sure how you translate it in English, but the carbon. Let's call it the carbon.
Is it the carbon market?
The carbon market. Thank you.
Yep.
So more than, it's actually $4.7 billion worth of units that have been bought on the carbon market. So if we were to dismantle the carbon market, we may very well be facing suits from companies that will ask for compensation because they have bought these credits knowing that the carbon market was existing, and they had to buy these units to respect the ceilings on greenhouse gases. So there's a problem with just canceling the carbon market, and nobody is talking about it, but I'm talking about it, and I'm telling you the reason why it's better to be very specific and very precise. And in the case of farmers, we need them to feed us, and that's why we should be helping them, and we should be strengthening our food autonomy, not depending on others for as less as possible, depending on others for feeding ourselves.
Yeah, I think the whole tariff situation and the Trump thing has had a lot of Quebecers talking about being more independent in terms of being able to produce our own food.
That's right.
There was a call this week from the Iris Progressive think tank that said instead of always focusing on cutting services when times get bad, what the government should look at is taxing affluent Quebecers more. And kind of Iris arguing that really Quebecers are not too heavily taxed, not the affluent ones anyway. And that's the way to go. Were you to win the leadership and win a term with the CAQ in office, would you be willing to look at this different way of approaching managing government, that you're not going to cut services, you're going to tax the wealthy more heavily?
No. I think we pay enough taxes in Quebec. What we should be doing is working to make this money work better and get better results out of this money that people who are listening to us right now are paying to the Treasury. And this is why I think the main thrust of my campaign is to say that the state of Quebec has become so heavy and so bureaucratic that it's very, very high time to look at ways to make it far more efficient, and therefore getting this money that we're getting from taxpayers to work better so that we get better results. And this isn't only rhetoric. I'm saying that there are basic rules that have not been touched upon or questioned so far that should be questioned. And I'm proposing, for example, that we should be, for some services like bus services, for example, on certain circuits, we should be, creating conditions for the public and the private sector to be in competition to get the contract for bus services for certain lines. That would create the conditions for more competition, better services, and better prices. I'm also saying that a permanent life, a permanent job as a civil servant, after 2 years, Quebec law says after 2 years of continuing service, you get a permanent job for the rest of your life. I think this has to be changed. If we want to introduce some flexibility, if we want to, reduce the number of bureaucrats or reduce the bureaucratic layers, which is what I call the lasagna state. A lasagna state, we've added up layers after layers after layers. And I tell you, I think it's high time that we start questioning some of these layers. And for that, we're going to have to reduce at some point the number of jobs. And if we cut jobs in the bureaucracy right now, according to Quebec's law, you can cut the position, but you cannot ask the person to leave. the job. You have to keep on paying that person until the end of her career or his career in the civil service. This has to stop. This has to stop. And I'm also pleading and putting forward a very firm position on more union transparency and union democracy, so that the union movement is not, in some cases at least, a force of status quo, a force that blocks any kind of change we want to make.
Bernard Drainville, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us on CJAD.
Very glad to do this. And allow me 10 seconds to say to your listeners, if you like what you're hearing, don't sit on your hands. Go to CAQ.org and take your membership cards for $15, and you will have the right to vote. This is the last day for you to do it. You know, there's a time to, if you allow me, to piss and whine, and there's a time to act, and this is the time to act. I want to change things. I'm serious. I've been in public office for long enough. The proposals I'm putting forward are the results of my experience as ministers in 3 ministries, 2 governments. I'm very, very determined. I think the time has come for these changes, but I need your support. That's it.
All right. Bernard Drainville, our guest on the Elias Makos Show, CAQ MNA for Lévis and CAQ leadership candidate. Thanks very much.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
Or the free iHeartRadio app.